Let's talk about the exam. I know I haven't released grades yet. I have been going over the results in extreme detail. This is the distribution of grades. You guys did pretty well. Average was 87%. I think most of you are probably going to be happy with your grades. I'm not really happy with those grades though. So let's talk about why. Because while I'm not changing the grades, and you're all going to have the grades that you got, which are pretty good, midterm 2 was designed very specifically to act as both an assessment tool to see how much you've learned, while also gathering a lot of data about how you're using AI when you take these exams, right? I don't have enough evidence against any single person, aside from a handful, to say you directly used AI. Most of the ways that I've evaluated this have been on some really complex statistical analyses that I will talk about. I kind of expected this already. I understand what motivates all of you to use AI. I also don't even know if I would categorize it as cheating at this point, but I just want to talk about it. So what did I do? How did I learn all of this? Well, first off, this distribution should not have matched this exam. This was a hard exam. I had a hard time taking it myself, even though I wrote all of the questions. An 87 average, which this kind of distribution makes absolutely no sense for a general education class, right? I can compare this to other semesters where I've taught this class and this material. I've also compared it to other teachers who are currently teaching this class. This is not a typical distribution for the kind of exam that we all took. And so I kind of used that information to back calculate the percentages of students that probably used AI to some extent on the exam. Through that, it's around 80 to 90%, which aligns with my expectations. But also that 80 to 90% probably didn't use it for the entire exam. Again, I'll show you the subset of students that I know copy-pasted the entire exam into a generative AI. How did I figure this out, aside from the distribution? One is the specific AI trap questions. So I designed several questions across the exam to give a very different answer based off if you were to put this in an AI or not. This is a specific one. It asks about which are examples of dimensional models that were discussed in our sex and relationship module. The client sexual orientation grid is a legitimate dimensional model of sexual orientation and attraction. We never discussed it anywhere in this class. And unless you are a gender major, there's no way you would have known that. And yet 84% of people picked it. Next, there were a couple ambiguous questions. This one I went back and forth on including when I was writing the exam because it is really hard. This question is based specifically on wording in one slide or two slides from one of the video quizzes. In fact, this was taken almost directly from one of the attention check questions. I just kind of switched the wording around a little bit. Looking at this, a very small percentage of people got this, which I kind of was expecting. I figured probably people would be more likely to try to use something like AI for it, and AI would not give you the correct answer. So that was another piece. The other one had to do with assessing the distributions of correct answers, right? 95%, particularly for this question, which is why I included it, the term binaural cues was never actually on a slide. I did say it in one of the video quizzes, and this was another question that I went back and forth around including because it's kind of hard. When I saw that 95% of respondents got it correct, along with all of the rest of this exam, I was like, okay, something else is going on here. Then there is exam timing issues. The exam was about 3,000 words. So then I took how long it would take to actually read the 3,000 words to yourself. If you have an average reading speed, it would be about 12 minutes. My understanding from most of my work with modern students is they read a little bit slower than that. So at a slow reading speed, it would be about 20 minutes. There was a significant chunk of people that spent far less time than that on the exam and got above a 90%. I was able to create this plot. It's just based off of the submission time for the exam. So it doesn't take into account when you actually opened the exam. Down here on the x-axis is the number of minutes past 3:30, because that was the closest I could get. And then up here on the y-axis is the score. So this is the general distribution. This red box is insane. Based off of the amount of time that it would have taken a person to read through all of the questions, and then to reflect on those questions, and then to choose an answer, getting this high of a score in about 30 minutes is ridiculous. Like, this shouldn't even exist. And then on top of that, this distribution of students that took most of the time, it should not look like this. It should be a lot more spread out based off of just the way that previous exams have gone, the way that I've gathered data on other classes. I mean, I like to think that I'm a good teacher, but like, this is just insane. So why am I bringing this up? If I'm not penalizing you, like, why am I telling you all of this? Well, first off, like, a lot of your other professors are probably doing this, and they may penalize you, so like, warning. I want to use this as an opportunity to craft an extra credit project, which will be coming out in the next week or so, which is going to be a video project. It's going to be harder to do completely with AI unless you're really great with AI video tools. So it'd be easier to just like actually do it for the extra credit. And it's going to be a significant amount of points. I haven't decided on it yet, mainly because I don't want everyone to fail the final and then fail the class. Also, like, I am interested in this, right? I didn't teach this because I think that the academic system is great. Quite frankly, I'm really nervous for the academic system because I think that it shoves us all into these boxes. It forces us to get high grades and high GPAs so that we get pieces of paper, and we still don't really know whether those pieces of paper are going to get you what you want. I get a lot of questions around how students can prepare for a future that we don't understand. The way that I know how to do that is by helping to encourage patterns of resilience. Patterns of being able to critically evaluate what's happening and make decisions based on those evaluations. And I've embedded that into the curriculum of this class. But I don't really have a way to assess whether you learned anything in this class, right? I've already mentioned before that I'm not a fan of tests. I think this shows one of the reasons why. I also just don't think they're great assessment systems. But the problem with that is that most of the ways that I could assess you are not available to me because of AI. So for this extra credit, it's going to be asking you how you would solve this problem. I want to understand your thoughts. I want to understand your motivations. I want to know why you're approaching things this way. I want to know what I could do differently to maybe shift that. And I want to know what your ideas on how I can assess your knowledge are. Because I don't have a lot of tools available to me at this point. And I do care about teaching, and I care about understanding what you learn. Because what AI is doing is catastrophic in certain ways. And it's going to be all of your job to figure it out. So I'd like us to kind of figure that out together. Keep studying, keep figuring this out. Again, the final is going to be pencil and paper, and it's going to be here in person. It'll be a lot harder to use AI to help you through it. I don't want you all to fail. If you do, I'm trying to create this extra credit opportunity to help boost your grades. And I would like you to think about it through the lens of psychology, since that's what this class is.